So this section is 8.3, compound inequalities as well as piecewise defined functions. So a compound inequality consists of two inequalities joined by the words and or. And here are a couple of examples. So like 2x, 2x greater than or equal to -3, and we also have 2x less than or equal to 5. Okay, so these are two compound inequalities because they're joined by the word and. Okay, and so and is defined in mathematics as the intersection. Okay, and so the intersection is saying where the solution for both of them cross each other. So it's the solution where both inequalities share the same. Also, we see the and as a symbol of this. So this is the intersection symbol. So sometimes we write the word and, sometimes they write this symbol here. So if I was to go ahead and solve this, I divide it by 2. We get x is greater than or equal to -3/2, or we could say -1.5. And then divide this one also by 2. And so now we get x is less than or equal to 5/2, or we're looking at 2.5. So if I drew the number lines, okay, I'm going to draw the first one here. I'm going to put this one on here. So it started at 0, and it goes to -1, and then we have -2. So it would have to be somewhere right in here. And so it's all the numbers greater than that, so it would be a bracket going in this direction. Now let's do the other one right underneath it, because I like to line it up because then I can see where my intersections are. Okay, I write 0 kind of together. And then now it says x is less than or equal to 2.5. So I go to here, 1, 2, and here's 3. So 2.5 would be somewhere in the middle. And so it's everything less than that. So I got a bracket, and it's everything in this direction. So now I can see where the intersection is. If I was to draw a dotted line, I could see here's where they share the same numbers, the same solutions to their system. So then I could put them together. And so now I know this is at -1.5, and then this one here is at 2.5, and they're both brackets, so I'm going to do a bracket here and a bracket here, and then here's where they share the same numbers in both inequalities. So then I could also write this as an inequality, as an interval notation. I can go, okay, that's bracket -1.5 comma to 2.5 bracket. And so I can see this just by going through this system. And this shows me the intersection of this inequality. Now let's look one where it's a union. So I'll draw a line down here. And so now we're going to look at x plus 2. And that's greater than or equal to 3. And then there's the word or. Or is going to be x minus 1 less than -5. Alright, so here's are the two inequalities that are joined by the word or. Now or stands for union, meaning all the solutions that make this inequality true and all the solutions that make this true. Because it's an or, we want solutions to both of these. And so that's why that's what union stands for. And so or can have the symbol of a U. which kind of reminds you of the union there. So anyways, let's take a look and see how that all works. So for this case, I would minus 2 to both sides, and so I get x greater than or equal to 1. And then for the other one, we have plus 1 to both sides, and so now we get x less than negative 4. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw my number line, and I'm going to do the first inequality. So it's at 0, and it goes to 1. Okay, so I know it's a bracket, and it's everything to the right. So it's all of these, right? And then I do the next one. So this one here is at 0, and it starts at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it doesn't have an equal sign, so it's going to be a parentheses going to the left. Okay? And so I can see that. So now I can actually put them together on the same graph. So this one starts at negative 4 and goes this way, and then it also starts at 1, but it's a bracket and it goes the other way. So to write the interval notation, we would have to have two interval notations to do that. We would write parentheses negative infinity, because it's going to the negative infinity. That's our smallest value, and then all the way up to negative 4, but it's not including negative 4, so we use a parentheses. And since we're using the union symbol, we put that there, and now we have a bracket for the 1 because we're including the 1, and then we're going everything in the positive direction, which parentheses. So here is my interval notation for this particular problem. And so you can see in this particular setup that the AND, which is the intersection, is combining two inequalities. And the same thing, this one's the union, and it's combining two inequalities. And this is how you solve all these types of problems, is you simplify it down to what x is, and then create the graphs, create the combination, and then write your interval notation.